Hello, everyone. Welcome to the ISES November webinar. I'm Dr. Courtney Kerrigan. I'm an assistant professor at Michigan State University and co-chair of the Mentorship Committee for ISES, and I'll be leading today's webinar. Today's webinar will provide an overview of mentoring support available through ISES, including the Mentor Match program and monthly mentoring office hours, discuss formal and micro-mentoring paradigms, and share strategies for establishing successful mentor-mentee relationships. For those of you who are not ISES members, please consider joining the Society. You can visit the ISES website to learn about the many benefits of membership. A few quick housekeeping notes before we get to today's presentation. In the upper right-hand side of your computer screen, you will see a control panel. Please note that this webinar is listen-only mode. Submit your question in the chat box. You can type in a question or comment and submit it at any time during the presentation, and we will have time for questions and answers at the end of the presentation. So I'm actually going to be giving today's presentation. I'm going to be drawing from my experiences both in industry, working as an environmental consultant, from my experience as a doctoral student and a postdoc, and from my experience now as an assistant professor. So hopefully you will find this useful. So what is mentoring? Mentoring is generally a one-to-one relationship between an experienced professional, a mentor, who shares their knowledge and experience with a less experienced professional, the mentee, to assist in their career progression. Somebody was quoted as saying, mentoring is a brain to pick, an ear to listen, and a push in the right direction. So there's benefits mentoring to both the mentor and the mentee. The mentor has the opportunity to make a positive difference in someone's life. Their mentee kind of becomes part of their life's legacy, helps them expand their networks, reshape the next upcoming scientist. You can see I stole this slide from a business website. Build your own leadership skills and help give back and help to change the world. You'll also usually learn from your mentee. The mentee gets to benefit from free planning advice, getting introduced to new contacts, getting assistance with problem solving, having a safe person, hopefully to share their new ideas with. It can reduce feelings of isolation and help learn from another person's experience. Thinking about it this morning, I think the mentor-mentee relationship is kind of similar to like an apprentice relationship, thinking back on old times. So, benefits of mentoring are well established. According to a recent PhD survey by Nature, students who are effectively mentored outperform those who aren't. Positive mentorship is the most important factor in completing a STEM degree. And studies show that effectively mentored students are more likely to publish papers and to finish their PhD programs. Common mentoring needs include making a graduate school decision, conducting a job search, identifying the correct career track, teaching, management, work-family balance, writing grants and papers, relocating, emotional intelligence, and developing leadership skills. Probably most people are familiar with a formal mentoring program. In a PhD program, that's your advisor. The Nature survey also found that not all advisors devote much time to the job of mentoring, and they may seem too preoccupied with their own science to offer career advice. You can't always count on your advisor to show you the way forward or to have the connections or knowledge to provide much career guidance. According to the Nature survey, sorry. I think, in that case, mentorship, both in that case and otherwise, mentorship really needn't and shouldn't be a one-person job. No one person is going to have all the answers and shouldn't be expected to. Networks can fill in gaps when a supervisor or advisor falls short, and it can be really helpful to have a variety of mentors. Non-advisor mentorship relationships can be part of formal mentoring programs, like in the case of the ISES mentorship program. And you can also leverage, identify, and seek mentoring from people in informal or situational settings. You could kind of think about mentoring as a matrix. So if we're talking in the case of a PhD program, you could have a senior mentor from the broader research scientific community, such as in the case of the ISES Mentorship Match Program, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Your scientific mentor, who, again, in the context of a doctoral program, would be your advisor. A staff mentor is somebody who can help you understand operations, funding, research administration. These people can be really helpful and really can be considered mentors. And then peer mentors are found in other early stage investigators working in related fields of inquiry. So, I found that through my career, I've always I had a mix of these kinds of mentorship and found it really useful. So really the take-home message here is that it takes a village. We want to be careful not to view mentorship as a one-person only job, and really try to identify mentors and utilize micro-mentoring when we can, and cultivate your village and grow your network of peers and collaborators and colleagues and mentors. So some important qualities to look for in a mentor. A good mentor is going to be prioritizing your growth. They're going to be highly skilled. They're going to provide you with constructive feedback. So not all positive and certainly not too negative, but something that can help you grow. And you're looking for somebody who handles stress well, because if your mentor's not handling their stress well, they're going to pass those habits off to you. So now I want to talk about the ISES Mentorship Program. So this program, it offers services to assist in the progression of your career in exposure science. Offerings include the Career Development Webinar Series, which is the series I'm presenting in right now, mentoring office hours, which is kind of being offered again. It's new, but I think it's not the first time we've had this in the mentorship program, and the Mentor Match Program. So I'm going to go through each of these in a bit more detail. And these can all be found on the website at the link shown here. So the purpose of the Career Development Webinar Series, which is exclusive to ISES members, is to focus on key topics such as career options in exposure science, challenges and solutions in leading an exposure study, and development of soft skills. It's led by our mentorship committee co-chair, Shahid Parvez. And if you have suggestions for webinars that you'd like to see, you can just shoot Shahid an email at the address shown here. Some past presentations. Ramya Chari presented on perspectives on a career in research at the interface of science and policy, translating exposure science research into action. Jamie Melliker presented on perspectives on an academic job search. And now I'm presenting on this. So this will go into our archives and be viewable. Our mentoring office hours are a monthly 1-hour group web conference, which have the objectives of providing general guidance, helping connect people with resources, facilitating identification of potential mentors, and helping improve our understanding on the ISES side of mentee needs and how to improve our services. So these are being held on the first Wednesday of the month at 12 Eastern, and more information about that will be going out in our monthly newsletter. And I'm leading those office hours. The Mentor Match Program provides highly motivated students, postdocs, and fellows and new researchers in the field of exposure science with one-on-one email-based mentoring relationships with established researchers from industry, government, and academia. So the sort of flow of this is that a potential mentee will complete an online application, receive a list of potential mentors, indicate their preference, and then receive an email introduction to that mentor. So just to walk you through that for a minute, this is what it looks like on the website. So if you go to resources, mentorship, this is what the page will look like. And you can see there's a link to the Career Development Webinar Series archive. There's a description of the Mentor Match program. And if you scroll down, you can see there's highlighted here. First, if you're not a member, you need to complete an application and become a member. And then there's a link here, sorry. There's a link here to become a mentee, so you can just click on that. And if you're watching this and you want to become a mentor, you can click this other link here to fill out a form to become a mentor. So with that first email introduction, you want to discuss with your mentor when and how to meet, whether you want to meet by phone, by Skype, face-to-face. You want to have a conversation to agree what you would both like to gain from the mentoring relationship. And of course, you always at all times want to be courteous and professional. So some general guidelines, and then you can tailor these as it's useful to you. Typically, we encourage our mentors and mentees to meet once a month for a year, but you can continue as long as you both agree, and you can end the relationship at any time. Feedback on how this is going, what might be helpful to improve the mentor match program is always welcome, and you can request a new mentor if and when the mentorship relationship ends. Some expectations of mentors is to be encouraging and kind, to listen well, to ask open questions, to offer non-judgmental constructive feedback, and to be willing to share knowledge, expertise, and experience with your mentee. And so if as a mentee you're finding your mentor is not doing these things, you can give them that feedback, maybe some constructive feedback, or you could just politely end the mentor-mentee relationship and request a new mentor. And probably let us know if of any difficulties you encountered. So with that, happy to take any questions. Thank you. So if you have any questions, you can just put them into the chat box.
So it looks like we have one question. Could you go into more detail about the monthly mentor hours? So maybe some of the different topics that you might discuss, or what the structure of that might look like a little bit more.
Sure. So it's really meant to be participant-led. So I will show up to the calls and I think I don't know. I'm not sure how many people to expect. I wouldn't be surprised if there was only one person or possibly even no people on a lot of calls. So then you'd be getting very personalized mentoring. But I think we can also learn that, talking about group mentoring, we can learn from the experience of others people, or people may have very similar questions. And so it's a way to sort of be more efficient at being able to answer people's questions and understand, help share that information better. So I think it's really a bidirectional relationship of trying to provide a useful service to our membership, and also trying to understand better, how we can best, serve up mentorship programming to our membership. So I definitely have lots of general advice that I can share if people come to that call with no real specific questions. But it doesn't have a formal format other than being kind of a open group conversation. I can, try to guide that conversation by asking some questions about how, maybe helping somebody identify what their mentoring needs are. One way to think about mentorship is kind of making a list to identify what your needs are, and then trying to figure out who, do you have people currently in your network that you can ask for mentorship on those things? There may be different people who are more suited to different questions, or identify a real gap in your mentorship network and try to figure out how to fill that gap. So I would say that's probably the main exercise we'll be doing during that call, but it's really an open format.
Great. And then a couple of kind of twofold questions. So one is kind of pointing out, in the past, there was just a list of names and professions and mentees were able to pick. And now kind of asking how the process has changed. and what that looks like. And Courtney, I can answer that
Yeah, go
if
for
you'd
it.
like. So now we've tried to streamline the system a little bit more, make it a little bit more structured. So the new system is we still have the basically library and index of mentors that are available with their different areas of expertise and the areas they feel comfortable mentoring on. And we get Mentee applications through an online form. And basically the structure is that we will take their interest, what they're hoping to get out of the mentorship, and kind of compare that to what our mentors are able to help with, and give a couple of options to the mentee in terms of what mentors are available, and if one stands out over the other that they'd be interested in working with. There's also potential that you could work with a couple of different people. So it's just a little more structured in how we're presenting options to our mentees now, as opposed to just sending a list with 100 different people on there as options. So we're trying to be a little more thoughtful in how we're matching people now. Courtney, do you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, just hopefully we're just trying it out, and hopefully this change in format will streamline things for potential mentees, because it was really a long list for people to have to read through. And I think the idea of having this survey is that it would help us narrow down which mentors would potentially be good matches, and then share. Kayla, the idea is we're going to share a few, right? And then kind of let them rank.
Yeah, yep. So the
Their
thought is
preferences.
probably 3 to 5, and and then allow them to rank their preferences. And if there's 2 that they really want to work with, then we can, we can coordinate that. If there's just one, it's kind of it works differently for each person. So.
Okay. So once you let us know which mentor, kind of what your preferences are, then we're emailing them individually to see if, that's a match. And if so, we send an email introduction.
Yep.
So just because you rank somebody highly, it doesn't mean that, we might contact them and they just really don't have time to take on a mentor at that moment. And so, you might not get matched with your top preference. But I would say, usually if they've volunteered to be mentors, they're pretty willing and responsive. So.
Yeah. And then kind of second part to that question was, how many mentees can a mentor be requested to be assigned? And I think it's a similar format. So if it's a mentor that has a lot of time right now and is able to take on multiple mentees, obviously that's great. It can be pretty, time consuming. So we definitely want to be sensitive to how many they're able to work with. But that's definitely something that we ask them on a case by case basis. So.
Yeah, I don't think we've really encountered that yet, because we haven't had. There's been a waning interest, and I think to some degree it's people just not knowing about the program, which is why we're doing this webinar. So we haven't really encountered that. But, we have a lot of mentors who are not being utilized. So I think I probably wouldn't match somebody with a mentor who we'd already matched them with within the last year, if there was a good alternative.
Yes, great point. And then one last question that's come in, are mentor applications available on a rolling basis now? And the answer is yes.
Yep.
We have
go
ahead. Mentor application that Courtney showed in her presentation that lives on our website, and everyone's able to apply through that to be a mentor, submit the information that we need to be able to match you appropriately.
Right. Members are able to apply, right? You have to be a member.
Yes.
Whereas you can attend the mentorship office hours, at least for now, either as a member or non-member. And then you can attend the webinars as a member or non-member, but only members can access the archived webinars.
I think that is it. Doesn't look like we've had any other questions come in. I think we're good to go.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much.